Hey, what's going on, good people? Welcome to Russ Can Fly. Can I just get this flight review done already? So I'm getting ready to, do the flight portion of my flight review. It has been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And the good news is, I have plenty of time. By shooting this video, I still have like about 3 weeks before my flight review is actually due. But I don't like to get that close to it, you know what I mean? That makes me feel uncomfortable. So I'm happy that I'm gonna finally get this flight review out of the way. As you can see, I tried to do it a couple weeks ago. Somebody's doing some helicopter training over there. Anyway, I get distracted. Hold on, let's wait for this thing to go. Okay, so that helicopter finally took off. I was waiting. We were waiting for another Cessna to take off. So they were, I guess, basically just idling or just sitting there. So they had to wait for the other departing traffic to take off. So, oh my gosh. Anyway, that's Northeast Philadelphia Airport for you. So at any rate, yes, I've been trying to get this flight review done. It's been so many delays and all of this kind of stuff. So I just saw 76 Mike land, so it's definitely on its way in. So that's good. I'm pretty sure that that CFI is coming and all that kind of stuff. So you're not going to see any cameras in the cockpit. Like I said, anytime I do, any of these types of things, I usually just I don't want to think about anything about cameras or, the GoPros going out or all that kind of stuff. Plus, I don't want the CFI to have to worry about, what they're doing and it's on camera and then, it's public and all that kind of stuff. So won't be doing any of that kind of stuff. But hopefully, unlike the last time where I came and to do it and the battery was dead and I just did some pattern work in a different airplane, hopefully I can get this done. What I'll do is once this is done, then on the back side of the actual flight review, the flight portion of the flight review, I'll give you my top 3 things you should think about in preparation for your flight review, and just some tips that I have learned based on my experience of trying to schedule and do my first flight review. It's some interesting stuff, so stay tuned for that. So on the other side of the actual flight, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk. All right. Oh, okay. I'm back from my flight portion of my flight review, and it was excellent, but man, it was a lot of hard work. It reminds me somewhat of a check ride. I guess the only thing that I'd say is different is you don't have the pressure of failing. But you do all of the same stuff. But I think the pressure is the pressure that you put on yourself, right? So since my check ride, I've flown another 110, 15, 20 hours. And so I'm expecting, perfection. And that's just not what it is, you know what I mean? So there's Max! But yeah, so I would say, and I will say that the thing that I loved about it the most is it really made me realize some bad habits I may have picked up. And so I think I want to do something like that every 6 months, to be honest with you, because there were a couple times that I was doing things that, I know I've been doing probably by myself, but I'm just not catching. And so just to kind of get more proficient, I think what I'm going to do is maybe every 6 months just do some sort of flight review light where I'm up with a CFI and just doing the maneuvers and all that kind of stuff. Because I got to tell you, there was a couple times where I was coming out and taking off on 3-3 and I was getting slow. And I know a couple times I've done that when I've been by myself. I've taken off and I've heard the stall horn, and of course I immediately, because of my training, I lower the nose. but I didn't know that I was doing that with some consistency, at least those last couple of, you know, takeoffs as we were in the pattern. I think one of the things that was really distracting me was the fact that there was some traffic in the pattern. It was a little windy, but definitely I was watching traffic. I mean, it just so happens that there was about 4 of us in the same pattern, and there's always helicopters around here at Northeast Philadelphia Airport. So that was very interesting. So I promised you I was going to tell you 3 things about the flight review that I think will be helpful as you're approaching your flight review. The first thing I'll say is, you know, go back to the basics. V-speeds. So the airplane, what's the best glide for the, so what's VG? What's VA? What's VX? What's VY? Get back to all of your V speeds, or your speeds that you have to fly on takeoff, on landing, all of that kind of stuff. Definitely go back to the basics. And you may say to yourself, yeah, that's no big deal, I do that all the time, but you'll be surprised. There was a couple things about top of descent, calculating top of descent, calculating descent from a distance, fuel usage, all that kind of stuff. You kind of do it during your cross countries, but I don't think you do it to the same depth that you have to do if you're doing a flight review or you're doing it for a CFI. And so I found that having to do, I mean, it was like a 5 or 6 page sheet that I had to fill out, and, you know, redoing weight and balance, like in a little chart, you know, and doing the math and all that kind of stuff. I mean, extremely helpful. So for your oral portion or the written, I would say take some time to review the basics, and definitely, you know, take a look at whatever airplane you're flying. Know these things like tire pressure, you know, what PSI should it be at, how many quarts of oil, what is the fuel usage per hour on takeoff, on landing, at cruise. Yes, you know, you can look at ForeFlight and it'll say, yeah, this trip will take you about 6.9 gallons for this trip. But what is the fuel usage when you're on full power and you're climbing out? Those types of things. So I would say definitely go back to the basics and look at some of the stuff that you probably haven't looked at in quite a while. You'll do yourself a huge favor. The second thing I'd say about your flight review is do not wait until the last minute to schedule. I know you'll think, okay, it's August 1st and my flight review is due the last day of August because it's 24 calendar months, right? Don't do that. I scheduled my flight review in June. At the recording of this video, it is now almost August 1st. I mean, seriously. Now, who could ever imagine that we would have Canadian wildfires that would create visibility problems in the area? You know, I mean, who would ever think that something like that would happen? But guess what? It did happen. I mean, there were so many times where there were visibility issues, I couldn't fly. Then, who would ever think that somebody would fly the airplane on Friday, I would come in on Monday, only to see the mains still on from Friday and the batteries dead? You wouldn't plan for that, but that happened. Oh, and then what about the fact that, you know, plane isn't available? There's like, I mean, apocalyptic storms all over the place. I mean, it's crazy. Yes, I got my flight review done earlier than, you know, I'd like it to still be in August. So now I got, you know, my next flight review is going to be in July because it's 24 months. But yeah, I'm glad that I scheduled it because it was getting close. It was getting hectic and the pressure was coming. And, you know, plane availability, my CFI, his availability was limited. The weather has just been crazy. So I definitely suggest giving yourself a good 2 months to at least schedule, so that if you have to reschedule and reschedule and reschedule the way I did, you will have plenty of time and you'll be done like I am. So yeah, it is, you know, definitely recommended that you schedule that early and try to get it done early. The last thing that I would suggest is that you do a flight and practice some of the maneuvers, you know, if you're so inclined. I was very rusty on steep turns, very rusty. I got about 30 degrees and then I was kind of going to 40 and then back, and yeah, I was definitely rusty. So you just want to, you know, kind of practice those maneuvers. The other thing I would say is, you know, don't just take off and land. If you take off on a regular landing and you're going cross country somewhere, do a short field, do a soft field landing. You know, continue to practice those things. Yeah, I'm probably not going to land on a grass strip anytime soon because I'm still renting aircraft. And most of the places that I rent from, they don't allow you to do grass strip landings in their aircraft. But I can still simulate it. Now, my soft field landing was great, but my short field definitely needed some work. I mean, I wasn't too much past my landing point, and I think I would have passed it based on the ACS standards. But, you know, I definitely floated a little bit. And the one thing that I did that the CFI pointed out is I was too quick to reach for those flaps. I should hit my mark, make sure my hand stays on that throttle, just in case I have to do a go around. And if you haven't, speaking of go arounds, if you haven't done a go around in a while, why haven't you? Do a go around. Go through those procedures. I mean, you get it, you know, such in this road that I'm gonna land, I'm gonna land, I'm gonna land. Deer. And you haven't gotten into your muscle memory doing a go around. So I recommend that you do those maneuvers before you do your flight review, and just, you know, be used to doing those types of things. And this is just a bonus. I would say, you know, what I'm planning to do, like I said, is do something like this every 6 months. I mean, it was extremely helpful. It really helped me hone in on some things that, you know, not that I'm getting lazy or cocky, but I'm just not as cognizant because I'm not paying as much attention as somebody who's just watching what I'm doing. So I know when I take off, I'm going to really be looking for what my speed is, really hitting VY. I've gotten a little over aggressive, I get a little slow, that kind of stuff. So those are some of the things that definitely going to be working on for sure. So that's it. My flight review is done. I'm good for another 24 months. What I'm hoping is I won't really need another flight review. I don't know what getting your instrument does, if it pushes that out. So like, let's say if I get my instrument rating, and let's just say December, does then that start that clock for my flight review from that instrument rating? Let me know what you think. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember what the rules are, but yeah, you know, that's back on the radar screen. So definitely going to be trying to get that done. All right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for following me. Thank you for supporting this channel. It's been amazing. Got to do another live sometime soon. That one we did recently was great. A lot of fun. Gonna try to get better at that as well. All right, Russ Kid, Russ Can Fly. I'm out. Peace.